Space. I am Kim Kral. I am reporting to you not live from my closet. Hi, everybody. I am late on this. It is 4 p.m. on Wednesday. I'm trying to do with my Patreon subscribers every Sunday record an episode and then that like the early episodes on Sunday, but my life is in shambles. One time I was hooking up with my boss at a bar I worked at. And so he would show me the write-ups of all the people. Like we would just like sit in the office and whatever, hang out. And we never fucked in the office. Did we? No, because there was cameras, but we would hang out in the office. And he used to show me like people's files or whatever. Like I'd just be sitting there and be like, oh, I want to look at that file. I want to look at that file. So I was reading this girl's write-up one time. This is so unethical, but whatever. This is years ago. And this girl's fine now. She's off in the world and it's fine. But I looked at her write-up and her write-up was like, I don't know, she got written up because she was like 6 minutes late or something. And I guess like in the write-up, it was like telling her that she was, consistently 6 minutes late and that this is her final warning, something like that. And then in all the write-ups in this bar I worked at, you had, in every bar I've worked at, actually, every place I've ever worked at, if you get written up, there's like a section for you to comment on the write-up. And so her comment was, my life is in shambles. And I don't think I've ever laughed harder. It was just that. It was just, my life is in shambles. She's fine now, so I'm not being a mean girl, Mr. Grinch. But so when I say my life is in shambles, I always think about that broad. She's a cool broad. Cool broad. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I when my life is, it's good. It's just like I'm my schedule's just not consistent, and that's what I want. I want to be all over the place and busy, and one day find myself here. Like today I was at SoFi Stadium. I'm working some weird red carpet job tomorrow. I get to wear my Von Miller jersey at SoFi for the Super Bowl. And I'm hoping that he's there. Like in my brain, Von Miller is there for the red carpet event. Like it's like we're just like fans or something. It's like audience work. But in my brain, Von Miller's there, and he sees me in the crowd wearing a Broncos Von Miller jersey. And because he loves the Broncos, and even recently, because everyone in Bronco Nation, we don't call ourselves Bronco Nation, Orange. What do we call each other? The Orange. Oh my God, I should know this. My brain is not functioning. But like recently, like everyone in the Bronco world is like, rooting for the Rams because we're rooting for Vaughn. And Vaughn was like, oh my God, I'll always bleed orange and blue. So I'm hoping this is like a statement he put out yesterday or today or something. So in my brain, he sees me tomorrow, standing in my Von Miller jersey, and he comes over and he's like, oh, you're a Bronco fan? I'm like, yeah, Von Miller. I am a Bronco fan. I'm Kim Kral. And he's like, hi, Kim Kral. I'm Von Miller. And then he signs my jersey. And then I don't have my phone because we're typically in those events, they don't let you bring your phone. So I don't have my phone. So he is like, I'm like, man, I wish we could take a picture, but I don't have my phone. And he's like, oh, I can take a picture with my phone. And I'm like, oh, really? And then you can just like message me on, like DM me on Instagram. And then he's like, yeah. So then he DMs me on Instagram and sees that I have been posting support for him for years, in the DMs, because it shows all the stories I've posted for Vaughn. And then he follows me, and then, we have dinner sometimes. I came up with that whole scenario while I was in the shower today. I was like, it could happen. Stranger shit has happened, right? Who knows? But so with the schedule, I find myself everywhere. So today I was getting COVID tested at SoFi. I'll be there tomorrow for that. And then, it's cool. And I'm working. So I am, actively trying to work to get an early episode out for you guys, for Patreon subscribers. Thank you for being a Patreon subscriber, by the way. Early on Sundays, and then we have your 2 bonus episodes a month. And the next one, the Sexual Revolution 2022 episode 2, will be out on the 15th. And I got some fun shit on there. So yeah, so today has been a colorful day, a pretty good day, man. Henry had to, you guys know my beloved Henry. You can see him if you're watching on YouTube, you can see him in the mirror. So I keep my closet door open now. So I'm not just in here just like pouring sweat. I'm already pouring sweat, but like so I leave the door open because it was pointed out to me by my co-host of my Patreon episode podcast, Jeff May, He was like, you have a good microphone. Why are you like boxed into a closet pouring sweat? You don't have to do that. And I'm like, man, that information would have been really cool, like 5 months ago before I got on all these other podcasts where the host was like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm bright red. But you can see him asleep on the bed in the background in the mirror reflection. So we went to the vet yesterday and I've been really nervous about it. So as you guys know, he had hyperthyroidism and went to the hospital and spent a couple of days in the hospital, like late 2020, mid 2020, and horrible, worst day of my life. And I was sexually abused, and that was the worst day of my life. I try to throw humor in there. I try to be funny sometimes. And so, he went and had his procedure like 6 months ago. And they wanted to do a checkup afterwards because what hyperthyroidism will do in animals is, I don't know if all animals, but cats, it will mask kidney problems. So if he had kidney problems, the hyperthyroidism would mask it, or it would be created. I don't know. But so 3 months ago, 5 months ago, actually, I went and got the 1 month checkup, and then I'm late for the 3 month checkup just because, my uncle and COVID. So we finally went and I got the results today, and my doctor was like, he gained 1 pound. So my doctor yesterday was like, well, he gained 1 pound and sometimes the thyroid will overcorrect itself. And now he might have hypothyroidism. I'm like, what the fuck? I literally like flipped out in the parking lot, and he was like, calm down, not at him. But I was just like, what do we do? I can't give this cat. Because now that I don't give him a pill twice a day, he was throwing up every other day when he had to take those pills all the time. And now he coughed up a hairball for the first time since the procedure. But other than that, he's not puking, knock on wood. And I was just like, I can't do that to his little body. You shouldn't have to. And the doctor was like, calm down. The vet, I'm sorry, my buddy yesterday was like, you took him to a doctor? I'm like, the vet is a doctor. He's an animal doctor. So I call him doctor. But he was like, let's just wait till we get the blood work back. So the blood work came back today, and he is healthy. We just need to, I think the 1 pound gain is, I've realized that Lucy will have half of her meal and then run away. And then Henry will eat a meal and a half instead of just his regular meal. So I'm taking away the meal after Lucy's done. And then the last step to that is I have to collect his pee. Just to double check, like triple check the kidneys, but the doctor seems pretty confident. Knock on wood. But you're wondering, how do you collect a cat's pee? The only problem is I haven't been home today when he goes to the bathroom. I collected it like 6 months ago. It was super easy. Like my cat's not like a regular cat. Like Lucy's like a regular cat, but like Henry's not like a regular cat at all. Like I can do anything to this animal. He just trusts me, and as he should. Like I would die for him. Lucy had a really rough start of a childhood, so she's a little less trusting than this one. But so when I just put a little bowl underneath him while he starts to pee, and the last time I did it, I just ran in there and put the bowl underneath him, and he stopped and he looked at me and we made eye contact for a little bit, and then you could, like, if he was a human, he'd roll his eyes and just keep peeing, because that's what he did. He just kept peeing. So good news on that front. I love this too. So I talked to the vet technician. I love my vet so much. If you're in Los Angeles, go to Dr. Kumar on Sunset Animal Hospital. I love him, and he loves his cats as much as I love mine. And so that is a sign of a good vet. But like the technicians, everyone's just really great. And I trust him, my last vet, I don't trust at all. In fact, I often think about burning it to the ground because of how they are terrible to animals. I don't know if they're terrible to animals, but they're the ones that were like, we'll admit him to the hospital, but it's like under the same company. You have to sign this thing. If he starts to die, you have to give us $500. We have to pre-charge $500. Otherwise, we'll let your animal die. What the fuck, right? Like trash. But oh my God, no, I don't. So I love this vet, but the woman was talking to me, and she has had COVID too, and she has long haul COVID as well. And we were, she's experiencing hair loss. I'm so grateful I don't have that one. Oh God. And so she's talking about all the stuff she's doing to help her hair loss. And she was like, yeah, I'm starting, I'm gaining weight. And she had the coolest, she's like, I'm gaining weight. And she goes, I'm not complaining though. It just means that I have money and I can buy food. And I'm just really grateful that I'm able to buy food. I was like, man, I wish we all would just like spin it that way. You know, it's so funny, like where you are mentally is how you react to things. I know that that's duh, right? But like today, I was changing out, I have a Brita filter on my sink in my kitchen instead of like filling up a, a jug every, what is it? A pitcher every night. Um, I have just like a little like thing, and then you just change out the filter that goes straight through your faucet. And I don't know. I used to buy a bunch of water bottles, plastic bottles, and and I bought this big water bottle, and I do that now. And I mean, it like what plastic water bottles aren't that expensive. I've probably saved $300 in the last like 4 years because it's like what is it like $250 for a 12 pack of water, but all of that plastic. That was like I had a friend years ago who I would, come to work with a new plastic bottle every day. And she was just like, yeah, I get a water bottle because I don't want to, I give a fuck about the environment. And I was like, fuck, I give a fuck about the environment. So I went and bought a water bottle. So anyway, I was changing out the filter today and I didn't do it right. And I was like trying to look to see, because like if it's working, it turns green and then it slowly turns red. And that's when you need to change it. So I was watching it, and then I turned on the faucet and the filter shot up in the air and then like just like sprayed in my face, just like squirt gun straight up my nose, all over my face. And I was like, whoa. And first of all, I was like, thank God I've had things spray in my face like that before. And I know, get my head out of the gutter. Normally it's beer kegs. Like when you're a bartender and you change a beer keg, if you don't do it correctly, I've had Budweiser shot in my face more times than any person who doesn't drink Budweiser should. But it was so funny because afterwards I laughed it off, and then I dried off my face, and then I I had to re-dry my bangs and whatever. But I started thinking about that, going back to the woman who was like, oh, I'm gaining weight, but like that just means that I have money to buy food. And a lot of people don't have that. So I'm really grateful. And I just, so it like, there are days that shooting up into my face would have made me go, what the fuck? Why is there, like so angry? And it's just depending on where I'm at mentally. And that's why I'm just really right now, I talked about my anxiety last week, and it's still here. I decided to go on the wagon for a little bit because, drinking even like one glass of wine, it just like sends my anxiety into a tailspin. And so I'm on the wagon for a little bit. I don't know how long. It's so funny. It's when you find out who people are when you quit drinking. It's so weird. Like one guy, I was like, oh, do you want to go hang out and do this thing? And he's like, yeah, we'll go get a drink beforehand. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But like, I was just like, oh, but I'm not drinking, but for sure, let's go to a bar beforehand. You get a drink. Like it's not hard for me to go sit at a bar and not drink at all. Right. Thank God. Thank fucking God. Both my parents are alcoholics. Statistically speaking, that should be hard for me to do. But I was like, oh, I'm not drinking. And he goes, oh, so like, when are you going to start drinking again? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I've just decided just until like for a bit. He was like, oh, okay. I was like, maybe March sometime. He's like, oh, good. Make it around my birthday and then we'll hang out then. And I'm like, it's so, and that happens every time I'm like, I'd like to get healthy. There's people in my life that are like, oh yeah, when you're back to drinking, I'll hang out with you. And it's like, because those are the people, that's their personality. I don't really have, I mean, this guy's not really like fully in my life. He goes and sees movies during the day. So I was like, oh, I'll go see a movie with you. But like, I don't really have people like that in my life. I used to call two people like that my best friends. And every time I wasn't drinking, it was like this girl, I was one of my best friends before the world ended. And I had the Kim and Ken show. I was on there and I was talking about this, and she texts me and she goes, that's not at all how it happened. And I was like, oh, it's for sure how it happened. But I was at a bar watching football, and she met me there, but she got there first. And so she ordered the bottomless mimosas. And I don't think I need to announce to people when we go to get dinner that I'm not drinking, right? Like, we're still going to get dinner. I'm still going to be the same person. I'm just not going to have a couple glasses of wine with you. Like, it's just so funny. So I didn't tell her I wasn't going to be drinking. We were just going to watch football. So I showed up, and she had ordered the bottomless mimosas, which fine, that's her, whatever. And I ordered, I can't remember what I ordered, like a coffee or some shit or water. I don't know. Those are kind of the only two things I drink. And she was like, oh, I got the bottomless mimosas. I was like, oh, I'm not drinking right now. And she was like, oh, and she got so weird about it. And this bitch gets hammered. I mean, that was one of the reasons why we actually stopped being, I stopped, one of the millions of reasons I'm not really being her friend. I'm not really friends with her anymore, but I'm just like fucked up, right? Every time. And she like noticeably was uncomfortable and drank way less and was like, oh, I wouldn't have gotten the bottomless if I had known. And I know that drinking is like, like a fun group thing. I guess I don't know. I know that when I got COVID the first time, I quit drinking for 9 months, and because I felt hungover every day anyway. So I was like, oh, I feel hungover every day anyway. Why would I add to it? And then, I slowly started drinking again. And then like the last, since my uncle passed, I had a couple of big Taiwan's nights, and it just fucking lays me out. And it just lays me out. And I don't mean like a day or two. I mean like I haven't drank in like 2 weeks, and I'm still kind of feeling it. Like maybe not. I mean, I am having some COVID related stuff happening right now. Every day around 8 o'clock, I get like this massive headache, and I feel like I'm going to vomit. And that started about a week ago, and I'm like, cool. So and my anxiety, I forgot with COVID number 1, anxiety was like a huge side effect afterwards. And so COVID number 2, it's back, right? The anxiety is really back. And so I don't know, but it's funny how weird people are about it. They're like, oh, just like, yeah, there was another girl who was like, literally quote said, just text me when you start drinking again, and then we can hang out. And it's like, this is a person that's what she does every day. That's what all of her friends do every day. And we're not at all friends anymore. I think there's bad blood, but I don't care. So I haven't really looked into it, but I think she like hates me. But I don't care. So I'm like, all right, well, that's that. Where did I go? Oh, so I started to do this thing. I have this goal, and I'm hoping it helps. I think I told you guys I'm going to the lung doctor at the end of March. I have decided, I've decided I'm going to run a 5K, not like tomorrow. I'm going to. My cousin is a runner, like runs like multiple full marathons a year, like a fucking runner. And so she sent me this program that's like from couch to 5K in like 2 months. And so it's like a gradual. And so you answer all these questions. And I started on Monday, and I answered all these questions. But because I do active things every day, like every week, I do like I hike at least 3 times a week. And I've been trying to and I do yoga or whatever. It put me at 3 weeks in instead of the start. Right. And so it's like I had been running for 3 weeks, and Monday I tried it, and I was fucking dead. Like I couldn't finish it. And then normally when my headache and nausea starts around 8 o'clock, it started at like 3. I couldn't breathe all day. It was just like, I was like, fuck. And which was really disheartening. Honestly, it's really frustrating. I'm grateful that I have support around me, and I have my people that I reach out to with these things, because it could get really dark, I feel like, just because I just want my body back. It's been almost 2 years, and I'm like, can I please just, and so I told the app, I was like, hey, I can't start at the 3-week mark. That almost killed me. So today I started at day 2, week 1, and I did it, and it's now 4:30, and I am still bright red from the whole situation that happened 6 hours ago. But I preventatively got done running. I took my 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, which I have been taking for the better part of 2 years, which is so awesome. Being sarcastic, sorry. So I took that preemptively, and then I'm making sure I'm doing my inhaler like consistently throughout the day. So I'll let you guys know. And then I've decided that, so everyone says like, oh, you should do TikTok. You should do TikTok. Like you're exactly what TikTok does, like where I just like talk to the camera or whatever. But I've been like, I don't know. Everyone I know that's gone viral does like specific shit on TikTok. And they're like, you got to do like specific shit and consistently until you go viral, and then you get your followers, and then you can do whatever you want. And so I haven't really found anything that I like want to talk about consistently. I have a couple of videos that I made waxing myself while wearing a Catwoman outfit, and maybe I'll put those on Patreon if you're a Patreon subscriber. I think there's like 2 videos. I don't know. I wore a Catwoman outfit and waxed my armpits, I think, or my leg. I can't remember, but I'll post those on Patreon. I'll do that in the next couple of days. If you want to join Patreon, and if you've already joined Patreon, thank you. There was a delay in one of the things I'm sending you guys. I know I say this every fucking week. I'm sorry. I'm a one-woman shop. So please and thank you for being patient with me. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, check your mail soon. I've been saying that for months, but it has been a wild few months. So today while I was running, I was like, oh, I should document this and just like talk about my COVID and not only that, like I've learned in goal making, in certain goal making. So like if you want to give up goal, like if you're like, I'm going to give up smoking, like when I quit smoking, I knew that I'd tried so many different many times, many ways. Merry Christmas. I had tried so many different ways. And the thing that really helped me was I told literally anybody who would listen I was going to quit smoking. I posted about it nonstop on social media. And there's always going to be people that are going to be annoyed by that. They can unfollow you. Fuck them. Who cares? Right. And I told literally anybody who would hear me that I was going to quit smoking. And then anytime I wanted to smoke, I would be like, fuck, I told all those people I was going to quit smoking. And then, like there was this weird accountability to it. And so that's also like, and that's why I've decided I'm going to do this TikTok thing every day. One, because, I'm a comedian and I should be bigger on TikTok. Oh boy, men are out of their minds. Everybody, humans are out of their minds. I love it when there is a fella that I'm not going to talk about on here. It'll be on Sexual Revolution, just because it's like super private and I don't want you can monitor who listens to that. But I love it when I don't respond right away. It's just like, fine, whatever. But like everyone's crazy. Everybody's crazy. What was I? Oh, so I, not only that, but then if I have like a consistent schedule of like posting about my run, I may actually follow through with it. And so I find when you have like a give up goal or a goal like that, to tell everybody, when you have goals like when I was going to write my book, I learned pretty early on that when I was telling people I was going to write my book, a lot of people were kind of shitty about it. Either they made it into their book about how they were going to write their book, or they would be like, or it would just be like, oh, so you like, or they like shit on your book or whatever. Like that, like people are hilarious. They were just a bunch of projecting triggered messes. And so when you have goals like that, you keep them close to you and you only tell people who will lift you up. Right. And so I talk about him all the time. I got Whitney Melton, dude. I tell that guy everything. And he's just, everybody deserves a friend like that in their lives. He just fucking cheers you on, no matter what. And when you fall, it's not like, I have friends that when I fall or falter, it's there, you can tell there's like a disappointment that like, oh, well, you were the friend that wasn't supposed to do that. It's like, well, I'm a human, Mr. Grinch, I don't know what Mr. Grinch, but so I have this goal of 5K, run it before I'm 40. And, I just have to really keep up with my like COVID maintenance if I'm going to do this, and listen to my body. So you got to rest. This app, my cousin swears by it. This is how she started running, and now she I don't know if I'll ever run a full marathon. My friend said she trained to run a marathon years ago, and she did it just because she said she was going to do it. And she said at the end of the race, she literally threw off her shoes and chucked them on the ground. It was like, I'm never fucking running again. That was a nightmare. And I don't know if I want to run it. Like, that's like 26 miles or some shit. That's insanity. I'm like, where do you go to the bathroom? Where? So yeah, that's where I'm at. I forgot what I was talking about. My brain is all over the map, guys. So I wanted to. So I have my list in front of me, and I'm going to go down the row again because I want to. I have all this shit I want to talk about, and then I added to the list obviously Henry. Henry, you guys, my baby is okay. He's just asleep if you can see him on YouTube. Okay. And he also has his own Instagram. Lucy's on there too, but I don't know what Lucy does with her days. I don't know where she is. She disappears and then wakes up in the middle of the night and plays and meows for 5 hours and then disappears again. So I today was thinking about so I was talking to an old boss of mine and we were talking politics, and it's just so funny that like I don't think this guy and I ever talked politics in all the years I worked with him. I don't think ever, right? And I don't know if I don't know why, but I mean politics and political shit are, misinformation and opinions and cancel culture and everything is just like at the forefront of everything right now, especially with, the pandemic. Some people still don't believe COVID's real. Imagine being that human being. That's insanity. I now feel, and maybe this will come back to bite me, I don't know. Now that kids can get vaccinated, I'm like, you know what? Let's just open it back up. We've all the people that are going to do the right thing did the fucking right thing. Let God sort them out. I don't know what else to say. You know what I mean? Like I can't have an argument with people. He was telling me that one of his employees was refusing to get the vaccine, and this is before the mandates, was like, I'm not getting the vaccine. And he goes, quote, do you even know what MNDR, MRND? I'm dyslexic, you know what I'm trying, but he's like, do you even know what that is? And she's like, no. And he's like, so why in the fuck what are you talking about? And then she was like, well, Moderna, and then just started spouting off all this information she saw on fucking YouTube that anybody can make. So my first TikTok video is not gone up yet. It says it's still processing it. And I think it's because I talk about COVID. And I think companies now are like looking more and more at like misinformation and making sure that you're not just because of, look at Spotify and Joe Rogan now. That whole thing's a fucking mess. I don't even want to talk about how I feel about Joe Rogan. I will say that I don't think anything is great if only dudes like it. I don't know. But I think that I'm a comedian. And so I'm friends with a bunch of like Joe Rogan's, like just a bunch of like dudes that are just like trying to be funny. And like, I don't know. I do also think that if there is a time in your life that someone can pull enough footage of you saying the N word to make like a 6-minute video, you probably ought to rethink some stuff. You probably ought to crack a book, educate yourself. Like, like that's, but I do love the whole censoring thing that everyone, the right is like, you're censoring him. You're censoring him. Joe Rogan, the millionaire, has now taken down all the episodes in compliance to what Spotify has asked him to do. So his employer is asking him to do that. And now he's being, quote, censored. Like, it's just, the world is bananas. But I did talk to my boss today for the first time ever about an old boss of mine about politics. And it was interesting that, now I'm a paranoid that I said something wrong with the Rogan thing. It's just if you're not a comedian, you probably don't fully have all sides of it. But my Facebook and Instagram is just full of like everyone's opinions about Joe Rogan, from people who are good friends with him personally, to people who have never met him, to people who he's helped their careers, to people I will say people who know him have not had anything bad to say about him. And I do know that he's helped along quite a bit of women's careers. So like, I think he's, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know. What a time to be alive, right? What a fucking time to be alive. But I was thinking today, after I was talking to my old boss, I was thinking like, I was and I wrote this. This is the list. This is the list. We are going to do it now. I was thinking today, like, where my political stuff came from, like where, I'm pretty liberal, I'm not like a radical liberal there. But I'm very left, right? And I was raised Republican. You guys know that. I voted for Bush in the first election, which is, I was 18 and the only person that I'd ever talked politics with was my dad. And my dad, there's a lot of, I know women in their 30s who still only believe what their dad told them. It's like, well, your opinions on other stuff doesn't really match how you're voting because your racist dad is voting that. I don't know. I've met a lot of people like that. And so, I was 18, I voted for that. And then I went to, I was in college and I voted for Bush. And then I started meeting people and talking to people. And then I called my dad and I was like, dude, I think we've been dead wrong about a lot of stuff, like women's rights, gay rights, immigration, all kinds of things. And my dad, he knew what he believed. And for some reason I thought, oh, there's no way my dad feels this way. Like wants to take away my rights, doesn't think that gay people should have rights. And he was just like the Republican boomer. Well, I think it's wrong. God didn't create it that way. Like that, like, just like where it's like, well, crack a book, man, meet more people than just people that are like you. And that's what I did. I went to college and I called him and I was like, dude, I think and I'm so grateful. And I've talked about this millions of times on here, that I'm so grateful for the women I met. It was women that I met in college. And I think they listen, and you know who you are. That when I was spouting this stuff, that like abortion's murder and, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, all that bullshit. These three women, all three of them, they could have been like, you ignorant hillbilly, and never talk to me again. Instead, they took the time to like talk to me about why I felt this way and explain other perspectives. And I am eternally grateful to them, like forever grateful. And that is, why I listen to people's opinions that don't match mine, and maybe offer them a different perspective. And sometimes, it ends in like the person getting heated and walking away. But other times, I bartended a couple of months ago this event, and this girl, she was a nightmare. I don't think I talked about this because I was like low key scared she was going to listen to the podcast and I didn't want her to be like, bitch. But then I saw her at another event like a month ago and she pretended she didn't know me because I don't think she liked me either. But we're bartending next to each other, and she has a transgender daughter. And she was like, yeah, my trans daughter. And at the beginning of the conversation, she was calling her a he and using her dead name. And I was like, oh, what's your daughter's name? And she's like, well, this is what we named him, but this is what he wants to go by. And I wasn't like, what the fuck? You were not using the right pronouns. Cause I've talked about this so many times. I just don't think that is the way that people are going to hear and listen to another perspective. If you're just like, you're a fucking idiot and you're a hillbilly and you're uneducated asshole. Like no one is going to listen to you. No one. And so I just, I was like, oh, okay. And then for the conversation, I referred to her daughter as her daughter. I used the pronouns and I used the name. I can't remember the daughter's name, but I used the daughter's name instead of, the dead name. And the first few times I was using the correct pronouns, she was like, well, she was like, well, I'm only saying he, cause he's been my son my whole life. And like, I'm not meaning to be awful. I just, whatever. And I was like, and I was just like, yeah, I understand that it's got to be a bit of a shift for you, but I'm sure it would mean quite a bit to her if, you tried. And, I understand that she knows that you've known her for 18 years as someone else. And now she's coming out to you as who she really is. And I know quite a few trans people, and it's heartbreaking to watch the support they don't receive from family for just being who they are, And she was like, yeah. And by the end of the day, I was listening to her talk to customers about her daughter and using her real name. And like, not that I'm like, I did that, but it's just like, I maybe I did, maybe I didn't, maybe she would have never, you know what I mean? But maybe just like talking to someone about why they feel the way they feel instead of just coming at them, maybe, will shift something. I feel like that's the only way we're going to change anything, man. This like yelling in each other's faces, saying, fuck those people. I'm not going to fucking blah, 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 blah. Like we're going to stay exactly where we are, because we'll be just as far in as we'll ever be out, because that is exactly what we've been doing the whole time. And, you keep doing the same thing you've always done, you're going to keep getting the same thing you always got. That's from Murder Rehab, definition of insanity. But I was thinking about that today. And And my cousin, who the runner, who I'm really close to, the one who, fuck, her birthday's in a couple of days. I got to get her a birthday present. Sorry, that's more for myself. I have it written down, but my life is in shambles. I, uh, I, saying, oh, she's super liberal, right? And I remember when, I had to do this paper about the death penalty when I was in high school. And, she had a different opinion than my father. So I asked her about, and she wrote, and we talked about this recently, and she was like, I don't remember that at all. But she wrote me a letter about how she felt about the death penalty and why she was against it. And so I would always, so when I became pro choice, we talked about it. But when I became pro choice, my dad looked at me and he was like, I'm going to need a few days. And like, didn't talk to me for like 4 days. We lived in the same house, just the two of us. Didn't talk to me for like 4 days because I believe women should have autonomy over their own bodies. I didn't have the language at the time to argue that or defend my point. I just was like, yeah, I think that you're wrong. And I think that I should be able to have that right. Right. And he called my cousin and he just started yelling at her for influencing me to believe that abortion wasn't anything but murder. And she said this was before cell phone, like when cell phones would consistently, go out in towers or whatever. She would be like, I can't hear you talk. My phone. And then she's like, and I just hung up on his ass. And so then I moved to LA and I didn't know I didn't know much about women's rights or what it had, whatever, but or the environment. I was more center and more like, well, my dad believes this and this. Like the second Bush election, I almost vote. It was a decision if I was going to vote for Bush or not. I did not. I voted for Kerry, but I was still just like freshly out of that Republican House, right? And so I started working at this place called Donor Services. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but it's like a telemarketing room that raised money for nonprofit organizations, and it was a bunch of has-beens and a bunch of wannabes, right? So it was like my boss was Pee Wee from Porky's. Oh my God. I wonder if my boss was like the guy, like the actual actor guy. He was interesting. But he was the boss. And then there was like people in there who'd like won a Grammy once. And, one woman was like an ex supermodel who was on a Seinfeld episode. And then there were people like me that were like fresh off the bus from Littleton, Colorado, bright eyed and blonde and ready to be a movie star. And I had to, we had to be trained, and it was, all very liberal causes: Greenpeace, National Wildlife Federation, Planned Parenthood, the Anti-Defamation League, and then some historical thing to save historical buildings. That one, my boss never thought I was smart enough to do. And then one time he finally let me be on it, and I raised a bunch of money, only because people just want to, I don't know. I could sell ice to an Eskimo, I believe. That's a really embarrassing saying. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. But so I remember, so I had to be trained on all this stuff. I have no idea how I got this job. Well, I do. It was a telemarketing room, and they were not very picky on who came there. One time a guy got hit by a car, went to the hospital, and then this place was full of fucking characters. I wish I could write it out, but it's like, it just fucking, he got hit by a car, went to the hospital, and then showed up in his hospital gown covered in blood, being like, I just wanted to prove that I actually got hit by a car and I wasn't lying. I got to go back to the and the boss was like, go to the hospital. What? Like he like escaped from the hospital to come in. I don't know. It was in hindsight, I'm sure there was a lot more drugs going on there than I knew. I was bright-eyed and didn't do any drugs at the time. I don't do drugs now. I don't know why I said that, but so I had to be trained on all this stuff. And I remember this woman, Margaret Bush, we called her Cookie. She was a tiny Black woman, tiny, man, and probably like 60 or something like that. She passed away about 10 years ago. Went to her funeral, which was wild. But it was just wild because I saw a bunch of people from that office that I hadn't seen ever. And it was, it was in a Black church. So it was like, very musical, very like beautiful. It was just, but I'd seen people that I hadn't worked with in, 10 years. But Margaret Cookie Bush, I'm still friends with her on Facebook. Does anybody know? Like, I will never delete people that passed away on Facebook. I know people that are like, oh yeah, I just unfollow them to make room. And I'm like, I don't know. There's just something nice to know that like, I'm still friends with Cookie Bush, And I remember sitting in this room on Ventura Boulevard in Sherman Oaks. And it was before, it was hell hot here all the time. I mean, it still was hell hot in the valley, but not where it is now. Now it's like 115 all the time. Or in the summer, or now till next November. But we're in this room and she was explaining all of these causes and Planned Parenthood, and she like helped shape my view on like environmental stuff. Start to talk to me about women's rights. I do remember when she was talking about the environment, I was starting to fall asleep because it was like a 6-hour one-on-one training in this really hot room where she was just explaining, like what was going on with the bears. And, but she was one of the people that like helped shape my opinions on, my liberal opinions. And it just, I don't know why she came into my head today. And then I immediately talked to an old boss about politics. And we've never talked about that. It's just so interesting. God, that place was so weird. The place was wild. And it's like such a lesson because a lot of the people there, like they got caught success and then their drug problem took over, or it's just like I mean that's the tale as old as time. We self-sabotage. I've been reading up on that, and it is interesting, like leveling out your insides. Like we like I can only speak for myself and what I've read, but human beings, they only can have a certain amount of good stuff happen before they like kind of freak out, like emotionally. Like you'll hit a ceiling where it's like, oh my God, all my dreams are coming true. And it's subconscious. It's like, I don't deserve this or whatever your like subconscious brain believes. And it's usually typically like shit you were raised around, right? But like you hit a ceiling of like what you can handle, and it's usually as much as you've ever had and as much as like your parents had, right? Like, and the trick is to walk through that discomfort and keep going further and further out of your comfort zone. And so that place was full of people that just couldn't help but self-sabotage for a long time. And there was a woman there, and I think I've told this story before, but this was like one of my favorite memories. Her name was Chipper. She's passed away. Her name was Chipper. Her real name was Lisa. And she was just this fucking character, and someone that I would never have met in Littleton, Colorado, right? Just and she was a drug addict, but was clean when I met her. She actually fell off the wagon. Heroin addict, fell off the wagon and was doing heroin at work and was falling asleep. And she did such a good job at this job. And she had, I know that she had come from like a rough background. Like she was homeless a lot. And our boss, who's Pee Wee from Porky's, actually, I believe, paid for her to go to rehab to help her out, which is, wild. Like unbelievably generous, because she was such a nice woman that just like she just had a relapse and she didn't have friends or family. I mean, we were her friends, but she was so funny. She told me one of my favorite sayings to say to people when someone asks you to do something or whatever. This is what I said to the woman who was trying to get Henry back. I was like, the only way you're getting Henry back is if I'm in a body bag. And I don't think you're prepared to do something like that. She said, always say that to someone, look them dead in the eye and say, the only way I'm doing that is if I'm in a body bag. And I don't think you're prepared to do something like that. She goes, 9 times out of 10, they'll back the fuck down. Like, I love this woman. Right. And I remember my first Christmas in LA. I think it was Christmas. I still have the card and the journal. She came up to me, and this woman had no reason whatsoever to get me a Christmas present. Like there was no secret Santa. No, we didn't exchange gifts. Like we said hi and like, I talked to her and sit with her or whatever, like, but we weren't like best friends. I don't even think I know what her last name is currently, like sitting here. I could probably think of it if I needed to, but so I was sitting, and it was one of the breaks, and I was sitting and I was reading, and she came over to me and handed me this beautiful, colorful journal. And she was like, I got you something for Christmas. And I was like, what? And then inside there was a card, and it was just like, I think you have a lot to say, and I think you have a lot to offer. Merry Christmas, love, Chipper. Right. And I teared up, and I was like, no one has ever bought me something like this so thoughtful, right? Like I was kind of the dumb one in my family, you know. I'm not dumb, but that was my defense mechanism. That was my role I played in the dysfunction was, you know, I'm stupid. And it's very easy for me to roll back into that. Like in that's my survival mode. If I act dumb, then I can be invisible and, you know, you can't hurt me. And that's been, you know, an unraveling that I've worked on for the better part of 30 years, 20 years since moving to LA. Um, and, you know, I was like, no one, you know, tears in my eyes. And I was just like, no one's ever told me I have something to say. It's like, my family thinks I'm kind of dumb. And she smiled and said, you know, what's funny about that? I bet you're the smartest person in the room every time you're around those people. She's probably the smartest person in your whole family. And that's not a shit on my family, but, you know, I've just been through, I've had a different life experience than they all have that has made me, you know, a little bit smarter. Oh, sorry. I stand by it. But yeah, man, I still have that card. It's in a box above my head, probably in my closet. And I still have that journal. And it's just so special. And I don't know why I thought about Cookie and Chipper today, but they did. They passed away. The story behind Chipper, I think Cookie just passed away from older age. I think she was like 70 when I met her, and she died around 80. I think I that was sort of the story I was told. And with Chipper, I was told, you know, she was clean for a long time. She was still working and was clean. And this is such a fucked up story about our fucking healthcare system. She was clean and she had really bad pain in her stomach and finally went to the doctor, didn't have health insurance, you know, went to the doctor and the doctor diagnosed her with terminal stomach cancer. And she OD'd that night. Because it was like, we can't do anything for you because you're terminal and you don't have insurance. So it's going to be real painful. Good luck to you. This is like, I don't know. This is when I first started at Big Wang. This is when I heard about it. So it was like 10, 12 years ago. So I don't know if things are different now. I wish they were. But yeah, so she went home and OD'd. And, you know, the theory is that it was like, well, I'm going to die anyway. So I might as well. Ooh, that got depressing, huh? But that right there, those are the stories, like the like Cookie and fucking Chipper, and that story is why I want to work hard and work harder and have my voice be heard and run and work in politics one day. Because, you know, I have so many friends that, I mean, we all are just fucking frustrated by all this. And I mean, not today. And I appreciate, I got a couple of emails from you guys, and I'm really trying to email everybody back. I'm so fucking overwhelmed. I'm grateful for the overwhelm, but you know, sometimes you just, I called my old boss today and he was like, I thought you were ghosting me. I just didn't understand why you weren't returning my call. And I was like, it's not that I wasn't returning your call, dude. It's just, you know, when you have a lot going on and then you have like 2 hours free in a day and you're like, I need to make these 4 phone calls to like keep up with relationships. But all I want to do is just lay and stare at the ceiling because I've just had a busy day and I'm tired. And that's, you know, that's how I feel about, like, you know, I have my DMs. Is the goal this week is to go through all my DMs and my emails. That is a goal. What is it? Wednesday? By Super Bowl, that is a goal. I have it written down, and when I'm told when you write down the goals, they have a bigger chance of coming together. But I appreciate the email saying that I would be, I would be fit to run for public office. I just, you know, it's funny, the Seattle guy, you know, the one that ripped my heart out 100 times because I let him, we both, you know, feel the same way about politics, and we had a different reaction to it. And he was like, oh, I just moved to a small town where I have a quiet life and I don't have to deal with all of this, like, you know, the protests, any of it. I can just live out my life and, you know, care still and vote, but that's it. And I'm like, oh man, I am going to change the world, you know, and maybe I will, maybe I won't, but that's the hope. Shift it while you're here somehow. Yeah. So those 2 women were a big part of me shifting in my life. And I don't know why they popped in my head today, but I want to just, you know, send the universe out some gratitude for those 2 ladies, and glad they popped into my life, you know, while we were all on the planet together. Did I get it sad? I can't tell if I made it sad or not, or if it's empowering. I can never, I don't know. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? It's a good time. My life is in shambles. That's what I'm going to name the episode because I think that's so goddamn funny. That's my one lucky broad. I am one lucky broad that I had people like Cookie and Chipper in my life. So fun that those are their nicknames. But yeah, one lucky broad that I've had the pleasure of having some pretty rad humans pop in my life, even if just for a little while. I love that. I love that. Like, had I not worked at that place, I don't think I would have. I don't know if I would have survived LA. It was like this weird little island of misfits, the broken toys. I think that's what all of LA is just we're an island of broken toys. I also think it's a lot like high school, right? Like it is a lot like, but it's like older, obviously it's older high school, but it's like, the popular kids are still chasing who they were when they were 23, but they're like 50 now. And those of us who are just not popular are like, oh, I think I'm gonna leave Never Never Land now. But yeah, I'm grateful for the people like Chipper and Cookie that popped in my life and taught me a bunch and shifted who I am and where I'm at. Are we ready for a poop scoop? My friend sent in a poop scoop and I'm so excited about it. I am so excited about it. I think she said she didn't give a fuck if I used her name. I don't think she gives a fuck, but I might just bleep it out just in case because it doesn't say it here. And if you want to send me your poop scoop, understand that I will never use your name unless you want me to or you don't care. I just want your poop scoops. Please send me what a poop scoop is. It's either a story about how you pooped your pants, a close call, an embarrassing poop story, really anything that has to do with poop. Send me your stories. They make me very happy. And don't you want to make me happy? I'm giving you a second to answer. You do want to make me happy. All right. So send me a poop scoop at kimkralspace@gmail.com. KYMKRALSPES. Jesus. SPACE. kimkralspace@gmail.com. Okay. Kralski. It's me again. Coming in hot with another, I love that she called me Kralski, by the way. Coming in hot with another poop scoop. And yes, it was hot, but not in the way that you look at a guy or gal and think, yeah, they're hot. Hot as in fresh out of your asshole. How hot. Oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. I'm in love with you. So it was December 23rd, 2021. Oh my God, it's a recent poop scoop. I just like shifted in my chair. I got so excited. So it was December 23rd, 2021. I was driving home from work on my last day in the office for the year. Drank a Red Bull in the afternoon, and I was ready to get home and stay up late in preparation for Christmas. I called my sister on my longer than usual commute home to see what she was up to. She's home with her family and just hanging out. We're chatting, and I mentioned that I had been so gassy that day, and I can feel that I may have to poop. We laugh and keep talking about God knows what, and I feel the hottest gas bubble I have ever felt moving around in my asshole. It was moving fast, like as fast as someone who just dove into the deep end of the pool without taking a big enough breath. That gas bubble needed oxygen. Oh my God, that's a really good analogy. Only it didn't, and it wasn't gas, but I didn't know that yet. I told my sister, Mariah, my stomach is rumbling, and I have another 45 minutes to get home. I might shit myself. Oh God, my car is still new, and I'm wearing light-colored pants. What if I ruin my pants or my seat? We've all been there, dude. She's on the other end of the phone via Bluetooth, laughing, saying, I'll be able to hold it. And then it happened. The 666-degree gas bubble, a 660-degree gas bubble from hell escaped my ass and filled my Volkswagen with an unbearable smell and my underwear and ass crack with a small river of diarrhea. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm so excited about what's next. Oh my God. I yelled to my sister, oh God, it just came out. It was more than a fart. She's laughing. And when she calms down, I ask, well, have you shit your pants recently? She says, yeah, more recently than I'd like to admit. Well, she has a reason. She's pregnant and her body is wicked busy growing a human. So she gets a pass. Meanwhile, I'm 29 and shitting myself out of what I believe was simply pure excitement to have a semblance of a vacation. Oh my God. Now it's going to sound like I'm going off track, but stay with me. I had gone to Bodega Louie a few days prior to this shit incident Oh, prior to the shitsident. Oh my God, that's amazing. A shitsident. You're a genius. And they gave me a few napkins. Their napkins are thick and durable. So I put them in my glove box in case I needed to blow my nose or whatever. Well, after I shit myself at the red light of a Black Welder and La Cienega and had seen the light cycle no less than 6 times, I knew I needed to clean up somehow. So I reached for the Bodega Louis napkins, tear off a decent sized piece, and check the cars to my right and left. Sister still on the phone. I already felt weird about the hot dookie in my pants. Dookie. I didn't need strangers seeing what happens next. Oh my God, let a stranger see what happens next. Okay, I took that torn piece of Bodega napkin and soaked up the river of doo-doo. Oh my God, there was that much. And then layered another piece on top as if that would make my butt crack and asshole feel any cleaner. The next 45 minutes were the stinkiest minutes I've ever spent with myself. Oh my God, because what do? You have to just sit in your car. You can't like go somewhere and be like, I pooped my pants. Do you mind if I like clean up in here? No, you got to just sit with it. Even with the windows down. Oh, that's how stinky it was. She had the windows down. I got home, flushed the napkin, and tossed my underwear, the second pair in a month's time. Remember my light colored pants? Somehow, by the grace of God, the hot shit didn't burn through my underwear and ruin them or my driver's seat. Thank fuck. And that's the story how I shit my pants at 29 years old just before Christmas. Thank you. That really meant something to me. That's fucking amazing, dude. I love that so much. Please send me your poop scoops, kimcrawlspace@gmail.com. I think that's the episode. Yeah, everybody. You know all the drill, share. If you haven't written a review yet or you're new to the show, please write me a review. It really helps the podcast get pushed. I know I haven't had a review since like May 2021, but I'm still going and I'm never going to stop. Just kidding. I'm not, but yeah, so please write me a review. If you want to join Patreon, I have 2 bonus episodes a month, one about my sexual revolution, another one with comedian Jeff May. We just recap our months. I don't know. It's been a pretty requested podcast for like 10 years. People have been like, you two should have a podcast. We just have fun banter. So it's a fun monthly podcast. And then there's I have my sexual revolution. So if you're Patreon subscriber, you get both of those. And I'm working on early episodes. I am working on it. My life is in shambles. And also everybody gets a download of my book when I get my shit together with the audiobook, which I was working on it, and then my uncle got sick and then I got COVID. I know I only have probably another month window to blame that on that, and I'm gonna milk it, baby. But yeah, if you haven't bought my book yet, please buy my book. I just sent out a bunch of signed copies today. I have a few more, so please buy my book. You can go to kimcrawl.com, or you can just get on Amazon and get it tomorrow. I would love that. I would love the support. All the support just means so much to me. Thank you. And if you want to follow my TikTok journey, provided that TikTok will allow me to talk about COVID on there. For some reason, it's not allowing me to. We'll see what happens. It's KYMKRAL everywhere. And I will upload on Patreon in the next week the Catwoman waxing videos. They're basically the regular videos, except for I pretend I'm about to go fight crime and I'm in a Catwoman costume. I should be less proud of this than I am. But that's the episode, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, listening, and just being a part of this. It means a lot to me. I get a lot out of these shares every week. So thank you for listening, and be nice, be kind, be fucking safe. And I don't know. It's rough out there. Just be fucking kind, man. All right. See you next week. Bye. Wow.